Okay, thank you. Quickly, I'm Guillaume Deprez. I am manager in charge of the consulting offer for the direction of innovation in Inetum. And I also support different technical area in their organization and their business. I am here with Julien Cazarin, our manager of VR and VR offer. And Julien is the technical leader of a formidable teams who are working on Dreamtime and UME 3D protocol. So very quickly, Inetum is a digital services company present in 26 countries with the particularity to having an innovation department organized around 7 fab labs in 6 countries. We have a lot of domain of expertise, remote way with very simply application about Flex Office, innovation spirit with your acculturation and consulting offers, social robotics about paper, and virtual world, we have to discuss this just after, and a lot of AI apps domain. So the Rex today is about Boehringer. Boehringer is a company in pharmaceutical industry. They have 2 objectives to demonstrate: the interest of the VR for training and the capacity of Dreamtime without technical skill to create their course and their training. We can pass this one, I think. Sure.
Okay, so the idea of this project with Boehringer was to demonstrate that people not expert in AR, VR, not developers, could be able to create training materials themselves. So at the end, this module is the result. I will show you the process played on the desktop, if it works. Yeah. So it's a step-by-step process to sterilize a tank in the chemistry industry with a step-by-step guidance. So this is the first video about how to play it alone, but this is not the final purpose, because the final purpose of this project was to put together a trainer with learners in a small classroom of people able to test and learn, meaning just like before, to do the things themselves, to try and to learn the gestures without being in danger. Because this is hot steam sterilization, it is a real dangerous environment in the real life. So that's the result. Okay, perfect. C'est où? Ça? C'est ça. Okay, so how we make them autonomous? So we provide a solution called Dreamtime, which is a low-code solution to design and to run virtual worlds without to be an XR expert. This solution is based on an open source technology called UMI 3D you can experience on our booth, which is the B26. And how we make people autonomous. So as you know, as we explained previously, technology is only a tool. So the solution itself is not a solution for the end user. So first, we help them to constitute a project team, meaning to have the right people around the table with real trainers from the industry, with experts in chemistry, with some potential users, and not only IT experts. So we started by making this team aware about what is VR, what are the possibilities, what can be done with training, and we also introduced them to the user-oriented design that is needed to create virtual trainings. Because if they want to be autonomous, they need to do that training, that process themselves, meaning to know how to get requirements for the user, for the operators in the factory, how to turn it to specification, and how to test and learn, to create prototypes, to test it with real users, and to do new specification and to improve. And of course, how to put that in production, test and evaluate the results. So the second step is learning how to use the tool. So the tool is some kind of simple editor, looking just like Unity, but with a lot of simplification to remove all the coding parts. So that's a sample of their training environment. So there are drag and dropping content to reproduce their physical training areas. And just like you do in a game engine, they are drag and dropping content to the object to configure it and to reproduce the simulation. And putting some business rules about, for example, this is Evolve, how an operator can open it, can close it, to be conformed with the process. So we did that training about 2 days with the chemistry experts. So with some tutorials and so on. After that, we produced the modules I showed at the beginning ourselves to provide them with a best practices sample. And after that, they tried it alone for 1 month, creating their own content and creating their own trainings to ensure they will be able to do it alone. So of course we was there in support, they call us each time they have a problem, but at the end they can do it alone. Okay, so, amazing. Perfect. So one important point is that, of course, I will not provide Volv's component for each of my clients. For example, we are also working now with some football trainers in Portugal which are not interested in Volv that much. So the idea is that the platform is based on Unity and extendable with a Unity SDK. So meaning we created an interaction library with Volv's tanks and so on for that client. And we created another library to configure a football field, for example, for the trainers. So that's the biggest part, is to identify the content users need to become autonomous. So first we created the content for those 2 pilots, and now we are working with Boehringer to identify the complete library of content they need to be autonomous for all the 60 or hundreds of training case they're identified. So the last thing is about deployment. So the solution comes with a cloud platform which is intended to be used by not the designers, meaning the guys that know the process and so on, but by the trainers. So the people organizing training. So the idea in that platform is to provide an easy way to organize a training session just like you are organizing a team or a Zoom meeting, meaning to have a catalog of available and validated experiences that are ready for production. So the trainer is selecting, for example, the virtual world for hot steam sterilization and just doing like for conferencing. So creating a title for the meeting, giving a description, and selecting the email of the person to be invited. And after that, the solution is automating all the deployments, the creation of a collaboration server, sending a calendar invitation by email, and so on. So to make it usable by non-technical people as for the design. And finally, at the end, you receive your invitation to the training, and the idea is to have that virtual reality conference where multiple people can remotely be trained by a trainer. So I don't know if there will be sound, but this is a... Okay, there is no
le scénario de stérilisation.
Très
Donc
bien.
pour
Okay, we have sound.
commencer, on va
Ok.
prendre du coup sur la station numéro 1, qui a les vannes qui sont contre le mur ici. Tu vas
J'arrive.
prendre la 4e vanne en partant de la gauche et
1,
faire,
2,
ouais,
ok.
et faire un quart de tour vers le bas pour l'ouvrir.
Je l'ai ouverte.
Parfait.
Okay, so due to the sound, I will not do the whole process, but the idea is there. So there is one trainer knowing the process at home on a desktop, and there is one learner in our Fab Lab using a mobile VR headset, so I think it was an Oculus Quest for this time. And the idea that they are together with an avatar, with the gestures and so on, with an audio channel, so we can reproduce that communication that happens physically between the teacher and the learner, training gestures, showing things, letting the learner do things to try. So try the gesture, try the process, restart and try again and so on. And that's how this experience is now created by the chemistry expert, meaning there is no developer needed to create that kind of experience. So they only drag and drop the 3D object from a library of content. Then they configure the valve and so on, and they publish this experience to the Dreamtime platform, and then trainers can organize these kind of sessions. So the idea is really to make experts, so people knowing the process, knowing the knowledge, able to create their own training material. Okay. Sorry. So that's the global process of how does it work. So as you see, there is that sketcher, so the desktop application enabling to create the virtual world and to configure it, which is installed on the desktop of the expert who created the experience. Then he uploads its work to the Dreamtime platform. And after that, it's a meeting organization process. So you select a date and an experience, a list of participants, it's a calendar invitation. The platform is deploying the experiences, and people can join it at the time of the meeting with UMI 3D browsers that are open source application. So there is no cost for the participant. That's the idea. And there is only one application to be installed on the headset to join any experiences created with the solution. Okay, so I think that's it.
Thank you.
Just remind something. You are on
booth 26.
okay 26.
B26.
B26.
Yeah.
Try and learn.
Exactly, and this the module we did with Boringer is available, so you can try it with the VR headset and try to open the valve and to learn the process, of course.
Thank you, Guillaume and Julien. Do you have any question about the solution or this process? Yeah, just a micro, please.
I was just curious how difficult it is for the subject matter experts to start using your software to create their own VR trainings, because I also work as a game designer, instructional designer, and I work with the customers, and we also have our own software, and we see there's a big gap in knowledge in trying to enable them to be completely independent in creating games, because it includes a lot of knowledge from didactics. You need to know a bit about game design and also the knowledge from the field of their knowledge, their expertise. So how do you do that? How do you help them learn? What is your strategy? Thanks.
Okay, that's a very good question. So there is the first thing that the challenge is different depending on the kind of knowledge you want to acquire, to train. So if you want to create a simple virtual world, for example, the one for football is quite easy. You just drag and drop players, pawns in the field, and you save it, and that's it. For the kind of chemistry, it's more complex because there is a complex process. You need to gamify it, and you need to configure a lot of components. So the first thing is the user need to be someone masterizing the process. That's the beginning. So because this is the knowledge they are expert on, and you don't need an IT expert to do it. It should be someone knowing the process. So then we train them to the game design process, so that doing a beta, an alpha, a gold version, trying it with users, helping users to start using VR headsets, because most of the users are trying VR for the first time, so understanding what is their avatar, what is the controllers, and so on. So that's something we need to train the customer. And the last point is about the usability of the design tools. And so as I explained it, so that interactions libraries are created as extensions in Unity. And for this time, it's our work to work with the designer in a project and a user-oriented process, to propose an interface for the Valve, for example, to test it with the users, the chemistry experts, to see if they understand the graphical interface, to configure it, and then to improve, just like you do in game design, with an alpha, beta, and gold version, to improve the UI of the design tools, to make it easy for the people that will design the training material.
Just I'm curious to complete the question. What kind of expert use your solution? It's not nerd, but some people who already knows what is immersive tech, or maybe programmers or something like that?
Yeah, could be very different populations. But for the kind of Boringers, so the main user who designed the pilots was, so his career was about chemistry. So he's engineer in chemistry, so he knows how to build a laboratory, how to use it, and so on. So that's his main knowledge. And after that, his company gave him 1 year study about studying the potential impact of VR training. And in that context, we meet him, we start working with him, and we train him to the solution.
Okay, 1 year of training.
No, it was a one year mission, okay, to evaluate the potential of VR. Yeah. And we train him in 2 days. Okay. 2 days, yeah, with 2 workshops. So the first one very general, to test things, discover the VR headsets, the potential, and so on. Trying to do a simple tutorial with Dreamtime. So that's a very easy tutorial. You have 2 pipes coming with blue and yellow, and you need to produce green by turning a valve. So they created that environment with our help, and after that they need to explain some potential users from their company how to use it. So that was the first training, and after that we did a second one about presenting the first pilot we did, and explaining him how it was created, the different configurations, and so on. Okay. And after that, yeah, he trained himself for 1 month and called us each time he have a problem.
Yeah, the solution seems to be amazing, and I would like to test it. And the question I have is it possible to add scoring on because it's guided exercises? But if we organize like 3 exercises, to have different kind of scenario and possible scoring at the end?
Okay, so as I said, so you create your own component to configure an object, and we come with a framework based on operations. So we can detect when a user is doing one task, and inside the development of your component, you can use that event to do anything. Scoring, logging to a data capture system, and so on. So when developing your library, depending on if you are doing evaluation, learning, and so on, you introduce that kind of things in the process, and you can also design components to let the user control the scoring, for example.